Hey there, welcome back. Now let us start with JavaScript concept. Let me quickly do some settings so it will be easy for you to understand everything. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the theme here so we can have some dark mode. Just jump onto settings and select the dark mode as preference. Click on reload. That's great. So now we have this dark mode that will be ease for our eyes. The second thing is I'm going to detach this console. Click here, click on the detach option. That's great. Now we have detachable console, so we don't have to shift every time. The other thing is let me minimize this file bar. So this file bar currently holds all the file that is currently inside my unwired.js folder. So let me squeeze it. That's great. And let me also change the size of my current editor. That's great. So now we have console that will show us the result, and I have this index.js where we are going to write some code. It's easy for us to manage both of them. Now let's talk about variable and why they are important. So when we work with any type of project, when we work with any type of example, we work with some input. For example, I want your age. You can give me a number, maybe 25, 30, 35. So when I'm working with any type of project, I need to store that somewhere. So I can just recall it. I don't need to hold that value 25. I just need to hold some name where I can say, okay, this 25 is my age. So that means I can create a sensible name and store that 25. Now there are two type of variable. That means there will be a let and there will be a const. Let will refer, or let is a type which can be overwritten or edited later. So I will say let age equals to 25. That means I can update the age later. Maybe I want to change it to 26 later. I can do that. There is another type which is const. That means this is constant. This is fixed. I cannot change it later. I hope you got the idea. There is one type, let, which is mutable, changeable. We can edit it later. And there is second type, which is const, that we cannot edit later. Okay, that's great. So we have a number that we need to store and we create a term. Here I am calling this term as age. If there is something else, maybe you want to store a phone number, I will call it as phone number and then store some value in it. And then there is a type. That's how you are going to define it. Okay, let me take let for now, age, and let me try to print it. And you know how to print? Use console and then log. And then here I can pass age, because now I have the value stored inside this age and I can call it anytime. If I save this one, you can see 25 here. That's how this whole thing is going to work. Now let me take something else. Let me take const. Let me try to call it as score equals to 10. I got 10 out of 10, suppose. And if I try to print it, console.log, and I just need to print the score. Let me save, and you can see the result 10. That's how this is going to work. Now there are few other things that we can do. If we want, we can override this. So at this point of time, this is age 25. Let's say age equals to 35. And let me try to print console.log. And I'm going to say age and save. You can see we are moving from top to bottom. The first important thing, that flow moves from top to bottom. The second important thing, whenever we are redefining, whenever we are overwriting some variable, we don't need to add let or const again. We did this here. Now we can update it anytime without any type of keyword. So we call it age. Then we move towards the second line. We call this as console.log and it happened. Then we move here. We updated the value. We move on the fifth line, console.log age 35. We move here, created a score variable and we printed here, which is 10. That's how this is moving. That means we move from top to bottom and we execute one line at a time. I hope you got the idea when to use age and when to use const. Now let me try this. So if I try to update score as 5, and if I try to use console.log, and if I try to print my score now, you can see I got an error. I cannot overwrite my constant value. If you see uncaught type error, assignment to constant variable. And here you can see line number 10. That means I cannot execute this line. This is going to give me an error. So remember, if you want to update something later on, use let. Otherwise, if you want to stick to a value you don't want to change, use const. Also, let me try to use let here and save this one. Now you can see I can update the value of score. Okay, great. So this is related to variable. Now what we call this expression? We call this as assignment. That means I am assigning 25 to a variable name age. Okay, this is assignment. I am assigning 10 to score. I am assigning 35 to age. I am assigning 5 to score. That's how this is going to work. Simple thing, and I hope you got the idea. Now the next thing I want to talk about is var keyword. It was an important keyword earlier. We never had this let or const. Everything was dependent on this var keyword. That means if we need to create a variable, we need to use var. Suppose I create year, let's say 2025, and if I do console.log year, you can see this is still working fine. So there is a way. This was the previous method. That means there was no let, there was no const earlier, there was only var. But it's not recommended now, and I strongly recommend to avoid this, use let or const. This was a possibility earlier. Now we call this let as keyword, this const is a keyword. That means these terms, these words are predefined in JavaScript, so we call them as keyword. That's it. That's the whole thing about variable. We are going to explore a lot more, don't worry, in future. So let me remove this. But I don't want to delete this. I want this to exist here, but I don't want to execute it. What we can do is we can convert this into comments. Well, we can use double slash to make a comment. That means if I say double slash, and here let me add a space and also add double slash here. That means for JavaScript, this is a comment. They are not going to execute it. They are not going to read it. This exists in our file, but this will never get executed. So whenever we want to define something, whenever we want to write some comments, whenever we just want to just hide some code, we can use this comment part. There is a shortcut. You can select both of them, or you can select whatever you want to change into comment. Just select them, use Ctrl and slash, and this will be converted into comment. Let me redo this. And I have my code back. So this is an important, comments are important. We can add some text. So here I can say constant example, and I can use Ctrl slash, and this is a comment and JavaScript is not going to read it. And here I can say let example, use Ctrl slash, that's it. So this is a comment and JavaScript is not going to read it. Now these comments are important. We can add some instruction. Maybe we have some instruction about our code, or we want some information. We can use this comment. Or maybe I just don't want to delete this. I want to have this code in my file, but I don't want to execute it. I can use comment part. So double slash, that's it. Now there are multi-line comment. That means I don't want to use them on each line, these double slash. Then we have a second type of comment, which is slash asterisk. So suppose I want to comment this line, I can use slash asterisk, and whenever I want to stop the comment, I can use asterisk slash. That means from here my comment is started and here my comment is ended. And I can do this on multiple lines. For example, if I take it here, paste it here, That means I start my comment here and I close my comment here. So all these two lines will be comment. And I can do this on multiple lines. I can start my comment here and end it here. That means everything is comment right now. So that's how this is going to work. I can start my comment here actually. And now these 4 lines are comment. So this is the second method which is recommended when you have multiple lines. This is the first method which is recommended when you have 1 line. Okay, I hope you got the idea. And if I save this one, yeah, everything is still working fine. That's it. I hope you got the idea about variable, constant as well as comments. Remember one important thing, that this is known as keyword. This is our variable name. This is the value that we are passing. Currently this is number. We can store different other types that we are going to discuss later. This whole operation is known as assignment, where we are assigning 25 to age. That's it. Thank you for following and I see you guys in the next one.